Hey everyone, welcome to Make Your Peace, a 4YE podcast about Wynonna Earp. I'm Lara Hayes.
And I'm Catherine Meushaw.
And today we'll be doing a season 2 wrap-up, and we have a special guest joining us. Many of us first came to know her as the fandom balladeer. She was formerly a contributing writer and then staff editor for After Ellen. She was the host of the Let's Process podcast, and she has been a contributor to the Mary Sue, Curve magazine, and the Portalist. Ladies, gents, and gender nonconforming folk, the current managing editor of the blog at Bella Books, our friend, your friend, and friend to all queer lady fandom, Dana Piccoli.
Well, thanks for having me. You did it in a really classy way after I basically invited myself onto your podcast.
We're happy to have you.
I think we both really liked that, go-getter attitude, Dana.
I mean, how can we not? And it opened the doors for us to have many, many more guests in the future. So thank you.
Oh, great. Well, am I your first guest?
Yes, I am.
Oh, my gosh.
Special all around. First guest on our special episode. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Well, I'm honored.
We have so much to cover and so little time to do it in. This season, I think, at least for me personally, going into the season, I had really high hopes because the first season just made such an incredible impact. And even just getting started, I knew that I was really putting this show on a pedestal, and I was kind of trying to rein myself in because I was like, it's going to be really hard for them to top the first season that strong. But for me personally, I think this season exceeded my expectations in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I've mentioned it before. I have trouble with season 2 sometimes. And I think overall, I agree with you. It was even better.
I think it excelled in so many ways. It's totally elevated from season 1. And not to say that season 1 wasn't great, because it was great. It was a really great opening season. It gave me a lot of early Buffy Monster of the Week kind of feels, if you know what I mean. There was a lot of Monsters of the Week because we were dealing with all these revenants, and that's super fun and enjoyable. But season 2, we get into the meat of these relationships and the meat of who these people are. And that is what really captured my heart. I mean, I've always loved Wynonna Earp, but it just really sunk in for me this season.
Oh, definitely. And I think sometimes some shows struggle because you have the establishing first season, and then sometimes they don't even get that second season because, you're just learning these characters, and then all of a sudden it's gone poof for one reason or another. So it was nice to be able to really have that established and get to know the characters more. Definitely.
It was you could practically see Emily Andress sitting at her desk, cracking her knuckles, all right, now we can do everything we wanted to do in season 2 once they got the green light.
Yes, with her one note that's gayer.
Yes.
More
Never
lesbian.
a bad note.
All right. Do we want to get into our hits, our season hits?
Yeah, let's move into season hits. I'll start it off if you guys are cool with that.
Knock yourself out.
Thank you. I absolutely loved Gooverly and Wynonna. I think they were just so much fun. They were two of the biggest laughs I had all season. I thought it was a wonderful way to shake up established characters. It was also an excellent mechanism for revealing character information, things they didn't know about themselves or maybe had only suspected. We learned of Wynonna's pregnancy that way, and we got a few hints that Waverly could be something other than human. And if nothing else, it was used to get us to really start questioning Waverly's parentage. And on top of all that, I just thought it was a total blast. The rat tequila sunrise or whatever is still one of my favorite moments of the season.
Why, Lara? Why?
I can't help it. You know this about me. You know this is true. I loved it.
I know. I just don't want that image ever again. No, definitely. The Goo was a great showcase for Melanie and Dominique as well, to just really kind of show off some of what they could do, I think. And I think that was definitely a joy to watch.
So of course, everyone loves the Goo. Who doesn't love the Goo? But something that impressed me about this season was the fleshing out of Nicole Haupt. And oftentimes when you are a, supporting character and you are seen kind of more as the love interest. Your storyline kind of gets pushed to the side. But it was very obvious that the Wynonna crew knew how much this character meant to fans. And I loved seeing her get to come into her own a little bit more, get to have interactions with other people, get to be kind of a little bit of a brooding heartthrob. And I thought that was a nifty opportunity this season. And I also really like Jeremy.
Yes.
Yeah.
When he first came on, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to feel about this guy. He's a little intense, but I liked the softness under his intensity and the kindness under his brilliance.
Yes. Jeremy and Rosita both were great additions. And I'm with you on Nicole as well. It was nice to see her kind of in her element as a cop, but also get to be, working more with everybody, getting more scenes with different people, getting to be that person that Wynonna relied on at the end to make sure that her daughter got out of there. But Jeremy was such a lovely addition. And I think one of my favorite parts about his addition was the fact that he's, a gay man who has this enormous crush on Doc, but it's not treated as a joke. Doc doesn't have any really negative reaction.
Right. There's no homo.
Right.
And there's no gay panic.
Right. And
Doc's been around a long time. I'm sure it's not the first crush a guy's had on him.
Doc is totally not straight either. Let's be real about that one. But no, that was one of my favorite parts about Jeremy's addition, because he's a nice surrogate for the fandom, but he's also they didn't treat him like a joke like some shows would have.
I'm with you guys. It's unanimous. Jeremy made my list of my favorite things of this season. I love him. I never want to lose him. My heart couldn't take it.
Yeah, I was really concerned. I said it in our last episode. I was a little concerned about him when they popped him alone with Bobo there during the finale. But yeah, he's a fun character. He was a fun addition. I'm looking forward to seeing more of him next season, definitely.
Yeah, so am I. I think that's probably one of my hopes for season 3. One of my, I do want it. I guess I low key want it. I do want Jeremy's background. I want to know what kind of an accident he was in, what happened to him, how he got his powers, and what his powers are exactly.
Yeah, definitely. We got hints, but definitely need to know some more about that. One of my other hits, I was just thinking about it because I mentioned the Nicole and Wynonna thing. There were a lot of really great Earp sister moments, and they're my favorite relationship on the show. So I really liked how the moments that the Earp sisters got.
Well, right. The show wouldn't be as popular or as beloved as it is if there wasn't that amazing chemistry and bond between those two actresses and those two characters. It's always great. As a queer woman, it's always great to have a queer relationship on a show. But yes, I totally agree. The focus of Wynonna Earp is this family.
Yeah.
Isn't it great to be a queer woman who can sit here and have a queer relationship that's the primary romantic relationship, and also we can all sit here and still say, without being upset about it or whatever, being like, well, it's not the best relationship on the show. Or not the most important. It's definitely it's the most important romantic, but it's kind of nice to even so have that and still be able to sit here and say, the sisters' relationship is still the best, because we have such special relationships, and it isn't a test the relationship the cast has. I love watching them interact. It's great.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. I think there's a wealth of talent surrounding this show, not least among which are the incredible writers and the actors who, work so tirelessly to make these characters believable and to make these relationships authentic. I think you're right. I think we're a little bit spoiled in that there's just, the believable bonds and the love on this show is so plentiful.
And we got more of the chosen family theme running along this season as well, which was nice. And it kind of enabled us to see more interactions between these characters as well in a really special way. I think that really, really helped with it as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that was probably the best surprise to come out of this whole, Waverly's parentage mystery was the wonderful dialogue it created around what makes a family.
And I think queer people tend to really gravitate towards those sorts of stories too.
Oh, definitely. I mean, because it's such a running theme in most of the life, like queer people, to have that chosen family because of, what your bio family or whatever, that interaction you have with them based on your queer identity. It's chosen family is so important as a queer person that it's nice to see it as a running theme in a show like this, the show that loves us back.
And since we're already on the topic of family, my biggest season hit, I did not expect it to land with me, but the pregnancy was hands down the biggest surprise. And I was pretty neutral about this reveal when it happened. I know it was kind of polarizing in terms of reception. I was fully expecting some sort of mystical pregnancy. I was wrong. And I admit it. But I did believe ultimately something would happen and the baby would be abducted or given up. Catherine, you and I talked about this last week. I was not prepared for how much I didn't want that to happen when the time came. I got unexpectedly attached to that baby. And while yeah.
I think that's how Wynonna felt too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I know that, Gus will take really good care of her, but I already miss Alice. And I wanted the Wynonna Earp Demon Hunter single mom. That was my long shot theory. I couldn't believe it when we got that single mom superheroes line. I was really blown away by all that. But ultimately, I understand and respect why Wynonna would make the decision that she made. I can't be upset about a mother protecting her child, but the pregnancy overall, I did not expect to love it nearly as much as I did this season.
I'm with you on that one. I mean, anybody who listened to the episode we did after that reveal knows that I was a little iffy about it, and I wasn't ready to kind of jump in with both feet and everything. But it was a very pleasant surprise. I'm with you. It was one of my big hits because Melanie was phenomenal. And just the relationship that Wynonna had with everybody as a result of it and just how they played it. And yeah, by the end of it, you're just like, you're heartbroken watching that baby go away. It's so awful. You're like, wait, come back. We can make it work.
We can, Catherine. Yes, we can. That was awesome.
But Dana, you were one of the people who were kind of like on board right away with it, right?
Yes and no. I loved the fact that Melanie wasn't being penalized for being a woman having a baby. I loved that. I'm always a little bit get nervous when babies enter the picture in shows because they tend to really change the way a show works. And so that was my concern. But when I found out the reasons why it was going on, and I really respected the decision, and it made me think that this was even much more of a feminist show than I had previously thought. So as soon as the announcement came out, which shocked everybody pretty much, I had no idea. I was pretty much on board from there. I liked the idea of having this very complicated person with very complicated responsibilities with a brand new complicated responsibility.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think it was hard to also separate when the announcement came out because I don't think there was anybody who wasn't really happy with how Melanie was supported because that's pretty amazing considering the type of show it is, and there are plenty who, it wouldn't go like this for her,
Right.
But, even so it's so hard to separate that with I'm worried about this story. But no, it was a nice surprise. And I can't believe nobody noticed it because you go back and rewatch a little bit and you're like, oh.
I thought it was just I thought it was just like Canada. I was like, oh, it's really cold. A lot of layers. Except Waverly, who will wear mesh or crop top whenever possible.
She was covered up more this season than she was last season, though.
Which is it's still not climate appropriate.
No, I mean, I'm not saying she was like.
I'm always worried Waverly's going to get a chill.
I know, right? I just want to send them all of the hot packs and just with little notes. It's I promise you can hide them strategically. Just please don't freeze Dominique.
I bet they would really appreciate that.
Probably. I know Kat Burrell was really happy last season when and probably this season as well, because she could really, like, with her uniform, she had like the long johns and hot hands and stuff like that. So she was able to stay really warm. She kind of lucked out with that uniform.
Yeah, it was a trade up for sure. I also, I don't know how you guys are going to feel about this, but Catherine, you and I talked about it briefly. Dana, I want to know what you think. I'm really delighted to have Bobo back. I just thought he was so much fun in the first season. He's crazier than ever. I thought it was a real treat getting his backstory, the short, sad life of Robert Svane. But I'm just really thrilled that he's back. Kind of already missed the widows, though. I was really attached to Beth. It was just her deadpan delivery. I loved it. But what about you, Dana?
Oh, I always like a conflicted and sympathetic antagonist. You know, Bobo reminds me a lot of Spike from Buffy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just this like pretty awful guy who's done some really awful things, but learning about his backstory really kind of gives you an opportunity to see him in a different light, but then you're also not sure. It's good because you don't know how you're supposed to feel about him, and it makes him all the more interesting.
Especially since this most recent trip to hell seemed to really mess him up.
Yeah. Like it does.
Yeah, I mean, but I think this one really, like, because we don't know how many times he's been. So it was very clear, and I think that'll add such a fun layer. But yeah, it was very William the Bloody, and you guys thought we were going to get away from the Buffy references this episode.
It's impossible to. It's impossible to. There's too many parallels, and that's not a bad thing. And I'm not, I think it's okay to compare it to Buffy because Emily Andress was a very big Buffy fan and is very flattered by the comparisons. And it's just kind of the way that supernatural dramas go. There's a little bit of a formula there, especially in particular when you have a female lead or, our heroine.
And especially you look at how important Buffy was to the genre. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't get away from it. So it's just, Lara and I always laugh because we do make the Buffy references every episode.
Episode. No, I was agreeing with you. Every single episode, it happens. It comes up. I also think you need to think about like where the comparison is coming from, and it's always like a very loving place. Like when we do, you know what I mean? Like it's always like we're tickled that we were reminded of this character or this episode, and so I think that needs to be taken into account too.
It comes from a place of love.
All right, so do you guys have any more season hits that we did not talk about?
I had one more.
Go for it.
It was just a small one. It was really nice seeing Dominique kind of get to show off some of her skills this season, like the singing and even just have some fun with the sticks and everything. And you can't not mention the cheerleading. So it was nice seeing that, like Dominique getting to sing and everything.
I loved Nedley's big moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nedley is gruff and grumpy and all these things, but he wants to protect those people in purgatory, and he's gonna do it even if it takes. He was willing to sacrifice himself, and I really thought that was an impressive scene, and it made me care even more about Nedley. Give me back my Nedley.
Yeah, I mean that was Nedley. You kind of began to like him by the end of season 1, but I mean, you really love him in that episode 10. Was it 10? Yeah, it was 10 this season. Because you're right, he was all ready to, he trusted Wynonna that it was something important, and he wasn't gonna do anything to risk any like that. So it was, I adore Nedley.
They leaned into it a little slowly too. It kind of like they kind of started building him up a little bit more as like this like protector figure when they introduced Tucker, and he had those like mentoring moments with Nicole, like saying, like she would take over for him one day and like stuff like that. And he really kind of started to open up as a character, like before he was abducted. And then by the time he was abducted, he was our Nedley.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here's a question for you guys. I saw some since we're talking about Nedley, I saw some speculation that Nedley actually in the finale had died either at the end of like episode 10, and that episode 11 wasn't like oh, he was just dead in this alt universe, but he had died, and they just kind of, the spell just kind of gave a reason for it, and that Nicole was was sheriff because of some of the stuff they saw with the Purgatory case files. And I wanted to know if you guys had seen some of that speculation, and what do you think of it?
Oh gosh, I don't know anything about that.
Lara, did you see any of it?
Well, I think I saw like what you sent to me. So yeah, like the obit and stuff like that you sent me screenshots of, but it wasn't something that I was like on the lookout for or anything like that. What do you think about it?
Oh, I think that'd be a really upsetting thing to do. But no, I just wasn't sure if you guys had seen it, and it popped into my head. So no, I think he's fine. He's fine. He's fine.
I like that you lead us to this like really dark place and then you're like, but it's fine. He's fine.
If I don't try to upset you at least once when we do a recording.
Yeah, we would have to scrap this whole thing and start over, right?
Am I really myself?
Yeah, no. Not unless I've got the gloves up. Yeah.
Did you hide your phone this time?
I did, yeah. My phone is away from me. Dana, I don't know if you know this, but like she likes to send me awful screenshots that she's taken of like really heartbreaking moments. And then it's like she's just got them on standby. So when I start talking about something she knows I'm going to talk about, she'll send me a screenshot of like one of the characters' heartbreaking faces. And it completely throws me off.
Catherine, are you a nihilist or something?
Or something.
I honestly did not know that she was going to look at it while we were recording. I swear I did not know.
That's fair.
But I'm also looking up an example to throw in the group chat. So
there we go. Yeah.
So does that mean we're ready to hit into some of our misses for the season?
Yes.
I'm ready.
You want to kick us off, Catherine?
Dana, why don't you go ahead?
You know, it's always hard to talk about things that you weren't crazy about in a show that you love, but it's important that we are able to criticize the things we love. And as a critic, it's sometimes you have to. I think for me, there are just a couple things. The cult of guys did not work for me very well. And I think that's because we ran out of time to develop it.
I agree.
And I get it. It's setting up something probably intense for season 3. I just felt like there was a moment in one of the episodes where I was like, oh, Wynonna and this guy, like, there's this kind of uneasy connection there. Like, we're going to explore this. But then all of a sudden they just randomly showed up at places being menacing. But, you know, that happens when you have to cut scenes and things. So that was just a little bit of a miss for me. And then another miss, I guess, would be the Gooverly and Wynonna thing. It like ended very abruptly. And then we were like, and we're moving on. So I just felt there wasn't quite the connection between that and what was happening later. You know what I mean? It was an amazing, I loved what was happening. But then when it was done, I was like, okay, so how do we connect that to what's happening now?
Right.
I feel like there were a few that were kind of like that. Because I agree with you about the order and the goo. It was kind of wrapped up very quickly and then just kind of was like, okay. The stuff with BBD was also, I'm sure we'll hear more, and BBD is not done by the time, like, for season 3, but I thought that was interesting too. BBD was just kind of like, oh, it doesn't exist anymore. We're done with that for the season. And I thought that was...
Right, especially after they make them, like, pledge their souls to BBD, and it was like 3 episodes later, they're gone.
I gotta tell you, I had, like, one of my theories for the kid was, like, that we were gonna have, like, a weird Rumpelstiltskin situation, like, maybe Wynonna just accidentally signed away her kid, you know, once we found out about the pregnancy. Just because I was sitting here going, okay, BBD has to come up at some point, and they didn't for the rest of the season. So I thought that was another kind of storyline that kind of ended abruptly, or just kind of wasn't explored like I was expecting.
Yeah. I also, I like Rosita a lot. I love the actress. I just think that she wasn't used as well as she could have been.
Definitely not.
Or as well as I would have liked to have seen her. And I think it's just you run out of time. You have other things, other plot lines. Everything kind of happened pretty abruptly at the end there. And I didn't really understand what side she was on or why she was doing what she was doing. And yeah, I wish that her storyline had been a little bit more fleshed out.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I would have liked to see kind of more of that, and I'm assuming we'll get more of her in season 3, hopefully. Because I agree, it was kind of, I mean, you can rationalize it because, Wynonna stopped treating her like a person, and then, she was feeling very, like, it was purely out of
Right. She didn't
self-preservation,
want to
and
go
I
back to
think
hell. Who
upset,
does?
yeah.
I get it.
So, but yeah, I agree with you. I definitely, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, I think that was another like recurring thing in like our early episodes of this podcast. It was just like, okay, but where's Rosita? All right,
Yep.
where is Rosita? Like we just kind of kept coming back to that and kept waiting for her to work her way into the story. And then she did. But by that point, we were kind of like so far into the season that it felt like we were rushing towards a conflict after we had all only just become friends kind of a thing. So.
And it was interesting how different Jeremy and Rosita were integrated into the group, and how, like, just with the screen, like, yeah, the screen time and stuff like that. Like, I'm still sitting here wishing Rosita had been featured a little bit more.
I think the biggest season miss for me was Nicole's super secret wife, but it may not. I'm really on the fence, and it all comes down to how we get to apply this information, really. So this either works for me or it totally doesn't. And I will say that I would watch an entire show dedicated to just Dr. Shay saving lives, wooing ladies, and rock climbing in her free time. I think we need to pitch. Yeah, I think we need to get that
waiting to happen.
Yes, please, somebody write that. Somebody do something. Give us that.
So yeah, I'm all about her as an individual. I didn't love the drama that it created for the Way Hot storyline.
It was like, did you feel it was drama for drama's sake kind of thing?
Yeah, yes. That's what upsets me about it, is that if it's drama for drama's sake, then I'm like, well, thanks, but no thanks. But if we can apply it to the larger storyline, to Nicole's storyline, as like evidence of how secretive she can be in the way she compartmentalizes information she believes to be harmful or hurtful, I'm really warming up to this more, because then it would be like the second instance, right? The first, at least the first, being Nicole reading and concealing Waverly's DNA results. So yeah, I think for me, it all really rests on whether or not we expand on this in the future. And the reason that I think we will is that whole knowing look exchanged between Nicole and Dolls. Her research into the cult of Bolshar seemed like something she was doing on the down low. I don't get the feeling that anybody but maybe Dolls knows that she has that ring. So if this is going to be a pattern of behavior that we examine more in Nicole next season, then this worked for me. And if not, it totally didn't.
I agree. It was one of my misses, and I've talked about it, because it did feel like the unnecessary drama, especially on the heels of Waverly kissing Rosita, which I also labeled as a miss for me. Because, like, I have no problem with having drama, because relationships aren't perfect. They're not going to be happy and wonderful all the time. And I have no problem with adding drama in and adding conflict. It's just, it was a lot of like, oh, so Waverly kissed Rosita, but Nicole's married. And it's like, but what are the circumstances? What are the circumstances between that marriage and why she didn't tell Waverly? And then I think, Lara, you're right about it. It's a good demonstration of a pattern of behavior, especially with the cult, because if she doesn't tell Waverly that she's doing that research and that she has that ring, that's the third time she withheld vital information, and she's done it pretty much twice since Waverly has, been like, hey, we can't do this. Like, we can't just have this thing where we lie and stuff like that. So it was not one of my favorites. But Dana, what did you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you. I think it did feel a little bit like drama for drama's sake. And there was also this moment where it was like, Waverly never asked her, like, why didn't you tell me you had a wife, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That would be like the first question. I'd be like, whoa, hey, kid, something you forgot to mention. Kind of important. I liked the fact that giving her a wife normalized her queerness in a very cool way.
Yes.
It was like, oh yeah, she's married, you know, but it really came as a big like, whoa moment, because there had never been any sort of inkling of it before. I'd never felt like Nicole was hesitant about doing something because there was something else that she was hiding, or it just came out of the blue.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this. I will tell you this. That has happened to me.
What?
Husband. But
Oh
I was dating a girl for a long time, and she said, "Oh, my husband came to town and he wants a divorce."
Oh my God.
And I was like, "What? Hold on. What?"
And that was the last date, right? Or
We were headlong into a relationship. Now I knew that they had been a couple, but I did not realize that they had,
oh my God.
Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh.
So it does happen, people. It does happen.
In Nicole's defense, I had this conversation with a friend, since we know that she apparently doesn't have a good relationship with her parents, since Nedley and Waverly had talked about how Nicole doesn't talk to her parents. And Nicole's a police officer. So if she kind of at least still trusted Shay enough to put her as her emergency contact, as far as like Shay knows what she would want if there was ever a medical emergency, that was rationalization enough for me to be like, oh, maybe Waverly, like Nicole was like, Waverly doesn't necessarily need to know, or something like that. Even so, it was still weird and screwy.
But I did appreciate the fact that Shay knew about Waverly.
Yeah.
I mean, may not have gone the other way around, but Shay obviously knew that Nicole was very much into this person and cared very much for her. And they have a connection, a friendship still. And I appreciate that, because that's the best thing you can hope for when you end something with someone you once loved or, once cared about. But yeah, it was.
What queer woman doesn't have a weird relationship with an ex?
Yeah. So. I suppose it does bring an element of authenticity to it. See, I'm glad we're doing this. I knew you guys would make me feel better, and I already feel better.
We got you.
This is fantastic. I don't.
Do you want me to make you feel even better? Hold on. I'm going to put this by the microphone. Hold on. Hold on. One more time. Do you know what that is?
No, what?
It's this little Captain Phasma candy dispenser that when you push the button to get candy, she talks. She's like, awesome. On my command, fire.
That is awesome. I would be eating candy all of the time.
Right, exactly. Sorry. I mean, sorry, listeners, that had nothing to do with what we were talking about, but I was looking at it on my desk, and I thought you guys would appreciate it.
They are kind of used to stuff like that. Like, I mean, we already discussed that I have a bad habit of distracting Lara with things, so.
Yeah,
I think the candy dispenser is okay.
At least one non sequitur per episode. I think we currently average about 3.
Probably. I don't think that's wildly inaccurate.
I was also.
All right.
Hang on. I was really upset about Lucato's brain, you guys. I thought it was really.
I was just gonna say that.
That was upsetting, eh?
Yeah, I was only getting to know her. I definitely wanted more Lucato, but I know she could always show up in a flashback, or better yet, let's just resurrect her. Let's just resurrect her and be done with it.
Yes, please. Like, I mean, for a little bit, we had like a Stone Witch, the Stone Witch's head, and then Lucato's body. There could have been something. Lucato was on my list too, as something that was we had just kind of gotten another layer to Lucato, and then she went poof. Yeah. Like, so I wanted more Lucato too, because I really liked her.
Was she the Sue Sylvester of Wynonna Earp?
Was she? That's a really good question.
We'll never know now.
We don't have enough.
We have been robbed of the opportunity to find out. Damn you, Andress. That was, I think, Lara, you kind of took my list, so thanks for being in my head. That was, I think, all that was on my list, because you guys covered a lot of it. So.
Dana, was there anything else for you?
No, I mean, overall, I really loved this season. I thought there were so many really wonderful turns and twists, and those were just kind of nitpicky things for me.
Yeah, same here.
Like you said, Dana, it's when you love something it's still okay to critique it because you want it to be better. You want it to be the very best it can be.
Right.
So I think it's always hard to sit here, and especially in a situation like this where it's not just a private conversation. It's, one that's going to go out into the world. It's very easy to just kind of want to talk about the good stuff and not want to be those people who are like, let me talk about the bad. But, you always want it to improve. You always want it to be the very best.
There are shows that like make these massive decisions that are like, whoa, you game changer. This sucks. I hate this. But then Wynonna Earp didn't have any of those for me. I mean, these were things that they weren't make it or break it moments for me.
Right. No. Me neither.
I mean, they didn't go and, introduced a really boring white guy who took over the show like some shows do.
Guys, I just love you both so much. We are so in sync right now. This is magic.
You're welcome.
And I like that we've all reserved, like, we're just not going to name it. We don't need to name it. Everybody, it's
you
fine.
Name it gives it power.
Yeah, right.
That's the same logic with 45, right?
Right.
What about like funny moments? What were like some of your favorite funny moments, Dana?
Oh God, I laughed just so hard. Episode, I think it was 11, when the Black Widow says something about destiny, and Wynonna was like, "Unless that's the name of your beef." Oh my God, I laughed so hard. It was so silly, but like perfectly Wynonna. And it was just the moment of levity that this whole thing needed. And I loved it.
That was a pretty good moment. Yeah, because that was episode 12. It was the showdown in the street.
Yes, it was during the showdown.
That was so great.
It's really fun.
The writing this season.
Yeah, it's really funny that you brought that up, Dana, because like I didn't catch this, but I was talking to, after we put last week's episode up, Pam was talking to me on Twitter. And she was like, I don't know if you guys caught this, but later when Wynonna, I think like when she's on the pool table or like when she's going into labor, she's getting ready to give birth, she says something like, oh, great, now everybody's going to see my destiny or something like that. Yeah. I did not catch it. Shout out to Pam. Like that's it. She had me cracking up with that. I totally missed it the first couple times.
Yeah, that was I think I might have missed it the first watch, but I definitely caught it on the second one.
Wynonna Earp is one of the most wickedly funny shows that there is on television right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, it's so hard. I swear every week my list of quotes got longer and longer, which made recapping take longer, but because I'm like typing up half the episode because it was all of the writing. It's hard to pick just one out. Like picking out like your favorite one-liner or something like that, because you're like, well, do you go for one of the funny ones? Do you go for one of the, feelsy ones? Because it's just, there's so much good.
What's interesting about the show is it's kind of almost like Grey's Anatomy in a way. Like there can be these really, I mean, it's not, okay, Grey's Anatomy is not nearly as funny as Wynonna Earp, but there are these really light, fun, fantastic moments in Grey's Anatomy, and then like serious drama. And Wynonna Earp gives us that too, but in a supernatural setting with more biting humor.
That is showcased in episode 7, where we get, the hilarity with drunk Nicole and those scenes with Wynonna. We get that Doc, Dolls, and Jeremy getting stuck together and bound together, all in the same episode. You got this very heavy drama with Wynonna finding out that this revenant may be the father of her child and having to make that decision to kill him at the end and everything to protect her child. So I think it's showcased in that episode, especially just how they balance.
Catherine, you
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
With a big.
Did I just steal your moment?
Like 2 of them.
How do you feel about that?
I feel like it's terribly.
The lesbian process this out.
No, I wasn't even meaning to. I was just, going off of what Dana was saying and giving up an example. I'm sorry.
No. Another thing that Wynonna Earp does really well is the writers and Emily play well to the strengths of each actor. They write very pointed dialogue specifically for those characters, and it works. I mean, everyone has their own way of telling a punchline. Everyone has their own way of delivering a tearjerker moment, and they write to these people and to these characters really, really well.
And I mean, I think they definitely do. And I think that was one of the nicest things about getting to see Nicole in episode 7, because like Kat Burrell got a chance to really show off her comedy chops. And, Wynonna throughout the series, is really quippy and everything. And, I always flash to that clip from a Comic-Con interview where Melanie talked about how, she wasn't really allowed to be, like, she's not usually allowed to be funny. And, she had somebody tell her once, like, what was it? It's like, pretty girls aren't funny, or funny girls aren't pretty. Sorry. Something like that. Like, that was the gist of this thing that somebody had told her, and she got really choked up about it. If you guys haven't seen that clip, let us know. I'll hunt it down for you. So it's really nice that they are willing to showcase that, and that they're really good about showing off.
Drama is hard, but comedy is harder.
Especially to find that balance. And I think you're right. They do it really well. And it was nice to see this season, especially where they really we didn't have to learn who these characters were. We just got to kind of see them, learn more about them, and kind of get to see them showcase themselves a little bit better.
I was like really pleasantly surprised with Dr. Navilar. I think that's how you say her name, like the OBGYN. It's like there's a side character that like they haven't worked with before, and she just comes in for that, like first examination of Wynonna, and if you're in trouble, wave your yogurt spoon, and like that entire scene. Like this isn't an actress that they've been working with for 2 seasons or anything. And she and Melanie just played off of each other so beautifully. Every time I rewatch that, I crack up. I just think it's the bring your own speculum. And then they, to Dana's point, they swing it right into, like they hit you in the emotions right after that, with the doctor telling her that she's not there to judge, and Wynonna getting choked up, and, because people are constantly judging her. And that was really one of my favorite moments of the season.
Definitely. It's another character gone too soon.
I was pissed that we lost her.
I was too. I'm glad the order burned for it, but yeah, I'm still upset. I'm still upset that we had to lose her.
Yeah, I was really upset when they mentioned that. I was like, how dare you? But it's okay. They got barbecued for their trouble. Yeah, it's like I said, it's so hard to pick out like best one-liners and stuff like this too. Like, everybody had really good ones. Like Nicole had the patriarchal bullshit land line.
Yeah. And tacos are tasty. I mean, it's all on t-shirts. Yeah.
But and then, like I said, you had the really emotional ones, like the Wynonna telling Doc that she's going to break the curse so that their daughter doesn't have to. The show does it well, guys. And even I'm going to go on a finale tangent if you don't stop me. No. I don't. We did that already.
We did. You're right. I'm sorry.
This is an hour and a half long, Lara. You should remember that.
I don't know how I did that just now, but I don't know if I'm allowed to pick this because it's not exactly a one-liner. But I want to pick like all 87 times approximately that the word vagina was said in the finale. And, every single time was my favorite quote.
Yeah, it was pretty great. It's just kind of like they just went, yep, we can do it, and we will. Yeah, that was pretty great. I laughed every time. And Nedley had, like we already talked about Nedley. Nedley had some really great ones in episode 10.
What were some general like character thoughts that you guys had? We've already kind of talked about like Nicole's arc this season. We can totally talk more about her, but like, for, like the different characters, like what are things that really stood out to you or conclusions that you've drawn this season based on what the season gave you?
I tend to focus obviously on the women in the show, but Doc and Dolls, I mean, we talked about Jeremy, but Doc and Dolls, such great male characters. And in particular, Dolls had such an emotional journey. Doc had such an emotional journey that he went on this season. Yeah, and Tim is just so good. He's just so darn good. And watching him get excited about having a baby and then thinking it might not be his, and then it was all too much for my tender heart. And I normally am like ambivalent to male characters in shows. And that's only because I write about queer women. And so I have to have a special eye at that. And, but I love all the characters in their own very special ways on this show. And the male characters, for me, are some of my favorite male characters in television history.
I agree with you, especially it comes back to the cast, it comes back to the writing, but no, I agree with you. Doc's arc this season, and I'm looking forward to season 3 to get more of that, since Lara and I had talked about it in our last episode about how, he's going to have a little bit of an identity crisis. But no, Tim, everybody talks about how amazing Melanie is, and we cannot forget how amazing Tim was, especially in the finale. They're all great, and it's just, but I think sometimes the focus is on Melanie because she's the lead and everything, but Tim just broke your heart with how he played Doc and everything. And it's just such emotional moments. And I'm with you. I pay closer attention to the women, mostly because I get tired of the same boring archetypes we get with male characters. I just most of the time want them to go away, but I don't generally want that in Wynonna Earp. I love the guys in Wynonna Earp. They're fun characters because they don't overshadow the women in the show.
I think next season's going to be Dolls' season.
I hope so.
I think that he's going to lead this investigation, although I have to admit, I did panic. I straight up panicked when I saw them make that, give each other a look. I was like, oh God, please don't let them be in this cult or something. But I panicked. Guys. I'm sorry. I'd had a couple glasses of Riesling and I panicked. Anyway, I think that he's going to take the lead in this investigation, and now that he has better control of his dragon powers, I'm really interested to see where he goes with this.
I hope you're right. I hope season 3 is this season. Because this season, he was kind of around, but I think it was really hard to kind of get a handle on him this season a little bit.
Well, and he was gone for a couple episodes too, so that didn't help.
Yeah. Oh boy, I hope so. But I didn't go to cult. The heck, Dana?
You're like, this is why we can't have nice things.
Right. Normally, I'm yelling at Lara.
I'm sorry, you guys. I panicked. It happens. I try to be really positive about things.
It was the wine.
I got nervous, and she was holding the ring, and I was like, "Is it like the Hobbit? Is it gonna make?" I was like, "Oh, please don't let Nicole be evil."
No. Dana, I'm cutting off your mic.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to do that to Catherine again. I had a lot to say about that look and that ring and everything in the last episode. Dana, you're not alone. I read a whole lot into it. And I really like what both you guys had to say about Dolls and Doc this season. I agree with you. And I really liked that. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I really felt like this season for them was sort of a lesson in selflessness.
Oh, and yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, at first we kind of saw Dolls fail at that, right? He gets out of BBD and he wants to make a go of it with Wynonna, and then she's pregnant and he's kind of, he doesn't really know how to react. He doesn't know how he's feeling. He reacts kind of poorly, but then we see him sort of, being, kind of the guy behind Doc and Wynonna, sort of wrangling everybody in, right? You're the father because we need you to be the father, and you can do this, Earp, and stuff like that. And, Doc didn't always have the words to say, didn't know what was expected of him or how to be there for Wynonna. He wasn't thrilled about giving up the ring, but he gave it up. I really appreciated that their main role this season was just one of selfless support.
As it should be.
That's a great
because
point.
Female characters have played the support system for male characters for eons, since stories were even stories.
And it's I love them. But no, I think it's definitely a good point. They had some pretty solid roles, and it's not like it was diminished in any way as far as how the characters went or anything. So it comes back to the writers and just the plotting as far as the characters go. It's just they know what they're doing. So it's always nice to see. I'm trying to think of what other big character moments I had. I just really liked Wynonna's arc as far as the pregnancy went, and how she kind of went from not wanting to talk about it, kind of rejecting the idea, and really kind of at the end of it, was a mom. And I liked that. I really liked, she had a great arc this season.
I think we dealt a lot with the first half of the season talked a lot about the illusion of free will. We dealt a lot with the mechanics of the curse and the way it traps Wynonna and strips her of her choices. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons that I was a little bit pleased to see Wynonna give Gus to Alice, because that was, yeah,
Alex
like that,
to Gus.
or yeah, Alice to Gus, sorry. But that was, it was a choice. It was a hard choice. It was probably the right choice, and it was absolutely the selfish choice. And she made it, and she made it for herself and for her child, and she made it on her own.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely important. It was one of the first, like, not one of the first, like, but it was a really important thing to at least give Wynonna a choice in that. I was so worried that they were going to do something like have somebody steal the baby or something. Like, there was a part where I was like, oh my God, please don't let this happen, because Wynonna's had enough instances where she had her choice taken away.
It paired really well with Waverly's, like, Waverly was really focused on like autonomy this season, about like protecting her own agency, and she signed the blood contract with BBD. She started training with Dolls and Wynonna. She really became part of the team. She had that blow up with Nicole about feeling like Nicole was trying to control her or keep information from her with the DNA results. I liked how much insight this season gave us into how strong and how headstrong Waverly is, which I'm all about. I think she's someone who has been discounted and overlooked her whole life. And you really got the feeling this year that she was 1,000% done with that.
Definitely. And I mean, she's got age kind of running against her as well. But it was definitely, I had a thought though while you were talking about the blood contract. So sorry, I kind of deviated a little bit. But so when Waverly signed that contract, she was possessed, right?
Yeah.
So how does that affect that blood contract? Because it was infected blood. It wasn't
right.
Waverly.
Did she sign it in blood or did she sign it in goo?
And how does it affect how she's bound to that contract?
We may have a legal loophole. I don't know. Do we know anybody who's an attorney?
This might
be actually. Des,
this might be
give us our
out of
thoughts
the
on
realm
this.
of our attorney friends.
But no, sorry, it was the most random thing to pop into my head while you were talking. Sorry.
I didn't even think about that. That's a good point.
I'm really glad the show addressed issues of consent this season too.
Yeah.
Because
yes,
it would have been really uncomfortable for not just Nicole, but for the audience if she had been doing things with Waverly without Waverly's explicit permission. And so I'm really glad that was a scene that happened, because Nicole should have been concerned about that. And she wasn't about to get embroiled in something that Waverly wasn't going to be able to be 100% on board with. So I loved them having that conversation.
I did too. It was really important, and it was necessary. And I just, I agree with you.
Yeah, consent is sexy.
Yes. And even though Waverly and Nicole didn't have some of the conversations that I'd like to see them have, and that I hope they still have in season 3, I'm so glad that one was given the care and time that it was a
2-for too. I mean, like, they had it going in, and then after, like, we found out that Waverly was possessed and all that, they revisited that topic. So it was really wonderfully handled.
Honestly, and I think that's an attest to what happens when you have women who are show running and women who are in the writer's room.
Yep, that's a good point. I think I want to say one more thing about Nicole, which is fun, like, as though this is like going to be the last of it. But, right. Like I'm ever done.
Oh, we never talk about
like
Nicole.
But Kat said something during the Dragon Con panel this weekend that I really loved. She said that Nicole is a caregiver, and I couldn't agree with that more, certainly after everything we've seen this season. I think she's driven by like a really fierce need, like not only to protect the people she loves, but to shield them and to do like anything in her power to maintain their happiness. And that can be really dangerous, especially when you're in love with somebody as independent as Waverly.
Yeah, exactly. Because you can accidentally take away someone's autonomy because you're trying to protect them.
Where's the line?
Right.
Yeah. I like that Nicole struggled to find that line and that balance this season. I like that she made the wrong choice about those test results, because people mess up and relationships are hard. And I personally identify with Nicole more now after all that than I ever did before.
Definitely. Well, there's an example of the relationship drama that I felt was legit, like more real and more like effective as far as the storytelling went, and kind of it gave another dimension to Nicole, and it gave something else to the relationship.
Can I make a Buffy? Can I make a Buffy parallel about this?
Of course you can.
So the same sort of thing happens with Willow and Tara.
Oh no, not that one. Not that one.
Poor Tara has had her mind nearly melted by glory, and afterwards Willow puts a spell on her. It's the one thing that Tara was terrified of, was losing control of herself again. And to know that that's how Willow decided to react to their fight, it's very much it just when I saw the whole way hot thing happen, I was like, oh my god, this gives me very much like tabula rasa, forgetful spell kind of thing feelings.
Yeah, thank you for that, Dana. Please give me a moment with my feelings now. But you're right. It is a very, doing something that the other person is sensitive to. I mean, it's not the same level that Willow did by any means, because Willow played with her memory. But no, it is definitely like Nicole kind of taking away some of Waverly, or not meaning to, but still kind of doing it. So thank you for that, Dana.
That's what I'm here for.
I knew where you were going the second you said that, too. I was like, no!
You just fast enough, Catherine. You really couldn't.
I don't have the controls. I can't mute anybody except myself.
I'm letting it all play, too.
I wouldn't mute anybody. That would be rude. And would take away...
Don't take away my autonomy, Catherine, because...
We just talked about this, Catherine.
I know. I'm sorry. Yeah. Here's an example, you guys. Click.
So I think we all wish for more agency and autonomy next season. What else do you hope for? What else do you hope to get out of season 3, Dana? What are you looking forward to?
Oh gosh, I am looking forward to Mama Earp reconnecting with the daughters, and not just Wynonna, because obviously Wynonna's known that she's been around somewhere. But I'm very much interested to see how Mama Earp and Waverly connect.
Yes. I'm so glad that they're bringing Mama Earp in, because that's going to be so great. And I think it is interesting because especially you look at how Wynonna views the relationship that Waverly and their mom had, and how Waverly views that relationship. So it's going to be very, very interesting.
I'd also like to see Jeremy get a love interest. Even if it's not 100% fulfilled, I'd like him to have a crush on someone who has a crush on him back.
Yeah, I'd like to see that too. And maybe he can have sex a little bit more than just that 1.5 times.
I'm just gonna throw this out there because Orphan Black just wrapped, but let's get Jordan Garvis and let's bring him into the show. We've got to put it out there in the universe, you guys, if we want it to happen.
Well, there's only 10 actors in Canada, so...
Oh yeah, you're right. Odds are really good.
Yeah, the chances are pretty high. Yeah, do you have any dream castings for Mama Earp, Dana?
Yes, and give me 1 second. I have to think of her. You have to edit this part. Wendy Crewson.
Oh, nice. Man, that would be a good pick. Gosh, it's like a low-key favorite too, isn't she?
Yeah, I love Wendy Crewson. She would be great.
Too. I'm going to let Catherine, you say your pick for Mama Earp first, because I guarantee we've got the same person written down.
I honestly, because Emily Andrus mentioned Lucy Lawless, and I would love that, but I also, you kind of got, I would also love to see her be, First Nations or something. So, maybe find an actress who's, First Nations or American Indian or something. That would be really cool, because you almost kind of got that vibe in it, during the monologue that she had, so that would be really cool. But, I can't not say Lucy Lawless, because it's, Lucy Lawless, and I adore her. But no, I would also really like to see somebody a First Nations actress or something like that, because I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. I just had Lucy Lawless written down, but I really like your answer. I really like Dana's. I think it would be perfect.
You guys are going to have to send me a link.
Okay, yeah.
Talking about this.
What?
I'm not feeling well, okay?
Catherine, did you ever see Better Than Chocolate?
Okay, wait.
Okay.
Have you seen the Santa Claus?
Yeah, there you go.
Santa's ex-wife.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
But, yes.
I got you.
But
Okay, I
being
got
the
it
good
now.
lesbian
Sorry.
that she is, Lara did bring up Better Than Chocolate. But Wendy Crewson has also played gay in
that
like
Lifetime.
a Lifetime movie.
Has she?
She plays this
What
like
was the name of it, though, Dana?
swaggering real estate agent who falls in love with, I think she's a married woman. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, you got to look up. It was a long time ago. There was a lot of 90s clothes in that. So
yeah.
Oh, okay. That's always fun. And there's a lesbian listening, screaming the answer to.
Literally, the only thing I remember about that was that her last name was my last name in that movie. Her name was like McNally Hayes. That's all I've got. I'm sorry, listeners. I'm trying. That's it.
Well, at least this is yet another instance I can get yelled at for a gap in my lesbian movie knowledge.
Absolutely brace for that one, my friend, because it's coming.
Yeah, Dana, Lara yelled at me a couple episodes ago for not seeing a fried green tomatoes. Yell at you. Everybody yelled at me about that one.
I'm desperately trying to find this Lifetime movie for you guys. Because it's terrible, but so good.
It was pretty, yeah.
Oh, you gotta appreciate the ones that are, so terrible they're good. Yeah, send me the name if you can't find it.
I will do that. Well, I should probably just look up Wendy Crewson lesbian.
Should you? Is that a safe Google?
Oh, actually, you know what? Wendy Crewson is actually an out woman herself, and so that's just going to lead me to her talking about being queer. So, backfired.
Unexpected Love. That's the name of it.
Oh, thank you.
Got it.
Lara saved the day.
It was all because I could remember her first and last name. Here we go.
There you go. Thank you. So, anybody who didn't know what that was called, you're welcome.
Well, that's right, because she had a cool. That's a very romance name for her to have. They called her Mac. So
yes, exactly. That androgynous. Yes, yeah. This is going to be such a beast to edit, just like the Wendy Crewson portion of our podcast.
You're welcome for that, and thank you for editing. I thank you in advance.
I'll take it. Okay, but back to the real topic. Hopes for season 3. Actually, I'm really looking forward to Waverly's parentage reveal, and I'm really glad that they're bringing Meushaw Earp into it now, because I really want to see those answers come from Mama Earp herself. Because I think if Bobo were to give them to Waverly, he would have an agenda, and I don't think Meushaw Earp would. And I want to see a little, like going back to Dana's original point about it, I want to see a little more anger from Waverly. I know it's there, and I know she's going to be blindsided by her mother's reappearance, and by Wynonna knowing how to contact her this whole time, apparently. So I really want to, I really want to see that blow up.
Yeah, I mean, because Waverly's going to be so upset because we have no idea how long Wynonna's been in contact, but it shouldn't matter, especially since Waverly's been going through this thing about who her parents are, and Wynonna had access to somebody who could have given her answers. I do think it would be interesting if the answers didn't come from Mama Earp or Bobo and came from a different person. Maybe came from somebody who was Waverly's biological family, whether it be a parent or maybe she's got a random sibling.
There's some connection to this cult.
Yeah, there's got to be.
Possibly. You never know. And it's just, we've got hints. We've gotten, everybody calling her an angel or saying she's got a darkness, which are two very different things. And then you've got Bobo saying she's kin. So throw the cult in there and you could have something very interesting.
I don't know. It's kind of and now I'm going off on a religious tangent again. But angels themselves are sort of like lawful neutrals, if you will, they're kind of, just an extension. They're like their limbs essentially. So I can see how there would be some darkness in that.
Can I just say I appreciate how you not only went to a religious place, but still found a time to
I was going to say, did you just Tumblr post us?
Yeah.
She just totally D&D nerded us.
I just cleared everyone's skin and their crops are thriving.
Yeah, and I think people don't consider that as an aspect either, that angels are frequently more neutral than people really think about.
That's all I'm saying. So. I also really want BBD to come back.
Yeah, I want to see BBD come back as well. Cause I've been saying it all season that they're not gone. They're coming back. Like, we have not seen the
I can
last
vouch for you. You have been saying it all season, and I know you're right.
Thanks for the confidence.
It's going to pay off. You're going to get them back in season 3. I can feel it.
Hopefully. I mean, not that I necessarily want them back. I just want to see what happens with that contract and what happens when BBD comes kind of swooping back in when they're not expecting. I do kind of have a feeling that they were there the whole time anyway, because one of the last things that the Order seemed to indicate was that they had knowledge of dolls in BBD, and I have a feeling the Order was at one point BBD, and that they kind of, branched off and kind of started doing their own thing.
Yeah.
So, be interested to see if that theory pans out. So, let's see. I think you covered... No, I had one more. One of my hopes for season 3 was just that, Waverly and Nicole kind of have the conversations that I really, really want them to do. Because I don't want to see them brush a lot of this stuff that they've been dealing with this season.
I'd also like to see a lesbian, bisexual, queer couple actually just get to be a couple and have drama that is like normal, interesting drama, but without like always being on the verge of breaking up. And I know it's possible. It's not very often that it happens. And I think that's what's been very frustrating to a lot of LGBT fans, is that it's like they get this couple finally, and then everything falls apart because they're like, oh, we got to have drama. We got to break them up. We got to do all this stuff to them. Like, there's a lot of drama that can happen for this couple without that fear of like ultimate demise.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny that you say that, because I've spent how many episodes, Lara? Like 4, talking about how I kind of want them to break up. And to get back together, but kind of break up because I feel like Waverly has some stuff to sort out, that, like, some personal, like, growthy stuff that maybe she needs to not be in a relationship, period, because she jumped from Champ to Nicole. Not jumped, I mean, there was a little bit of a... But I do agree, Dana, it is nice to kind of... It would be nice to kind of have it without the threat of a breakup, but I sometimes think that the breakup, even like when they're going to get back together, is sometimes nice, because there's sometimes growth that you don't get.
I guess I kind of disagree with you a little bit, because I'm a married woman, been with my wife now almost 10 years, and I've had to go through a lot of changes and a lot of growth and a lot of unexpected things while I've been with her, and I can't imagine having gone through those things without her by my side. And I think that sometimes the thought that you have to be by yourself to like know who you are isn't always true. I mean, it works for some people, but I'm glad that I was able to, and our relationship is very, we give each other a lot of autonomy, and, we both are very independent people, but I love the fact that we could be together and we can both still have our own personal, emotional rides.
Hashtag relationship goals. I know, and Dana, I really appreciate your perspective. I do, because I have had a different experience. I'm not married. My relationship has been like 3 years, but that was, most of my growth happened after that breakup. Like, I had to end that relationship and had so much growth and learned more about myself, learned to kind of stand up for myself, stuff like that. So I'm coming from that place. So that's where I'm like, people need to break up sometimes. The good thing is
that both of our feelings about it are completely valid.
Oh, definitely. And like I said, I appreciate that we have you so that you can talk about that and talk about your experience and your perspective on it. So
you're welcome.
Thank you. Because I don't think that there's not like a right or a wrong way for that. I trust that no matter how or what happens, it's going to be something good with Way Hot, at least.
Yeah, I'm going to back you up on that. I got faith in those crazy kids.
Yeah, it's hard not to, with especially Kat and Dom in these roles, who are so supportive of the fandom. And
as you're saying that, I got a text from my friend who had a picture with Kat and Dom, all of them holding a big rainbow flag.
Oh my gosh. That's
making
amazing.
Dreams come true, those two.
I have to say, I have been delighted seeing all of the pictures and stuff from Dragon Con. And I think, once again, it's an attest to how great this fandom and just the cast are and how they interact. And we're pretty damn lucky.
One of these days,
To have a
I
cast
would
that
really love
you
to
know.
moderate one of their panels somewhere, even if it's just, like in someone's living room. I'll just show up.
I would love that. I would love to. You just show up during
Like,
one of the live
knock,
tweets
knock,
or something and just,
No, but yeah, I really enjoy them as people, and I would love to sit down. I've interviewed them all, but I've never had a chance to sit down with them as a group. And so one of these days.
Yeah, maybe we can start like harassing cons for that, because I would love to see you moderate
Well,
the
thank
Wynonna
you.
Earp panel. I really would. Yeah, so let's just no chill that. Come on, Earpers, let's no chill Dana moderating a Wynonna Earp
You know what?
panel.
If they want to offer their living room,
So
if someone has like a Toronto-based living room that they want to offer up, I'll bring snacks. I know the Canadians, they like the ketchup chips.
all right, so guys, we don't even need a con. We just need somebody to host Dana and the Wynonna Earp cast.
We may also need a bowl for the chips.
Yes, you're right. That was a very important addition.
I'm on the details. I've got it. All right, you guys, was there anything else, like overall thoughts for the season or parting thoughts or anything else that you had written down that we just didn't get to?
Writing stuff down. What?
Dana, did you
Listen,
not prepare
I've been
for
doing
this?
a long time, Catherine. I got a mind like a steel trap when it comes to this stuff. I'm sorry, what?
I wrote my notes like an hour.
So just
I wrote my notes an hour beforehand, and they're just
I was
random
gonna
notes.
say,
You should
I
see
bet
like
Lara's.
they're like outlined
She's-
and they have like A, B, C underneath them.
Oh, they are.
I have a spreadsheet.
Oh,
I have like an Excel spreadsheet.
spreadsheets like a.
Am I the only person who does this?
When I was first writing recaps and things like that, I took a lot of notes, and now I just don't. Because I really try to absorb what I'm watching. I found that I missed out so much by not just sitting down and paying attention. I mean, don't get me wrong, I go back and I rewatch it and I stop and start and stuff, but I really like to take it in the first time now.
That's honestly what takes me so long recapping, is because I watch it without taking notes the first time, and then take notes the second, take notes on rewatch, and I, stop. I'm like pausing and rewinding to make sure I don't catch stuff and make sure I'm catching notes and stuff, like looks and stuff like that. So I'm kind of, you gotta watch the first watch you do. You have to just watch, otherwise you miss stuff. Definitely, I'm with you on that one. Yeah, that's why we usually need a couple watches for the podcast. But Lara, did you have anything else on your notes? All right, I guess we got to wrap this up. All right, thank you so much, Dana, for joining us.
My pleasure.
And can you let everybody know where to find you online and everything?
Yeah. I don't have like any cool nicknames or anything. I'm just Dana Piccoli at Twitter or Tumblr.Dana Piccoli. I also have danapiccoli.com if you're interested in contacting me that way. I'm available for panels, dinner parties, baptisms, podcasts. And, by the way, I am a universal life minister, so I can perform weddings.
Okay, you guys, so for all of your con moderating needs,
if you want to get married in Vegas, you know where to find me. Not to me. I'm taking
Dana's gotcha.
But I can marry you to your sweet person.
So put that on your wish list for Klexicon, guys. And Dana, just for people who may not know, how do you spell your last name?
Piccoli. 2 C's, 1 L.
Excellent. That's easy. All right. Lara,
you guys can
where
find
can
me
everybody
at
find you?
RS Mayfair on Twitter, and you can reach both of us at the official Make Your Peace podcast. That's at 4YE_MYP podcast.
Excellent. And you can find me on Twitter at CMeushaw. That's CMEUSHAW. You can find Lara and our pieces at our Wynonna Earp or not at 4YE. And you can find that Twitter at 4_Y_E. And we've got some more exciting podcasty things coming up, because we will be covering season 1 and the rest of season 2 at some point. let us know if how you're interested in us doing that, whether you want to see us do it spoiler free or with the knowledge that we have for season 2. So please hit us up. It will be a couple of weeks, I think, before we get into that. So you've got some time. And once again, thank you so much for listening and sharing and all the things that you wonderful people do. So until next time, see you later.